Yesterday, I saw a news article where our Prime Minister made a remark that he believes in science and technology and the superstitious people cannot bring development for the state. He was taking a dig at the superstitious Telangana Chief Minister during his speech, but he was also vouching for his party and his leaders. Now, how much of this statement is true? Do we have any evidence of the contrary? In fact, not just the PM, but many prominent members of his party who hold significant positions have made a lot of statements in order to tie the wisdom of the ancient munis and yogis to the pillar of today's science and technology. In doing so, they have made statements ranging from plain falsehoods to downright bizarre. Let us look at some unscientific or pseudoscientific statements made by the leaders of the ruling party since it came to power. Hello and welcome to yet another video by Pale Blue Thoughts, the channel which promotes scientific temper and denounces pseudoscience. We will look at some claims in the chronological order. First in line is what the Prime Minister himself made in October 2014 while speaking to a gathering of doctors and other professionals at a hospital in Mumbai. Modi implied that plastic surgery existed in ancient India. He had stated then, while referring to Hindu mythology, that he believes that Lord Ganesha was the first ever example of plastic surgery. In the same speech, he also said that Karna, a character of the epic Mahabharata, was born due to genetic engineering and stem cell research. I am sure all those doctors had a lot of patience that day. Come December 2014, we had the Minister of Human Resource Development, Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank, saying that science is a dwarf in front of astrology. He was speaking during a debate in Parliament. He added, "Astrology is the biggest science. It is in fact above science. We should promote it." Yeah, it is above science. That is why it is given a better name, pseudoscience. If this wasn't enough, he added chilies to the lemon by saying in the same debate that Sage Kanad conducted nuclear tests lakhs of years ago. Someone should give him a book on human evolution to show him that lakhs of years ago, the early ancestors of Homo sapiens were trying hard to break open a coconut. Forget conducting nuclear tests. He had also defended PM Modi's remarks on Lord Ganesha and plastic surgery, saying that people are raising questions on Modi's comments on Ganesha's surgery. It was actually a surgery. The science available to us is not available anywhere in the world. Science or knowledge to transplant a severed head existed only in India. Someone with this knowledge, please replace his head with a slightly intelligent one. Please. In January 2015, at the 102nd Indian Science Congress in Mumbai, Captain Anand Bodas, a retired pilot, told the audience members that a Hindu sage named Bharadwaja had given guidelines on making aircrafts 7,000 years ago. He said the sage even mentioned a diet for pilots, the milk of buffalo, cow and sheep, and that pilots of ancient India's plains had to wear clothes made out of vegetation grown underwater. He further claimed that India had interplanetary aircrafts thousands of years ago, along with sophisticated radar systems that were superior to what we have today. मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, कृपया ध्यान दें, पृथ्वी से शनि तक जाने वाली 6202 भारद्वाज एयरलाइंस अभी उड़ान भरने के लिए तैयार है। कप्तानों से अनुरोध है कि वो कृपया जल्दी से जल्दी दूध पीकर तैयार हो जाएं और कर्मदलों से गुजारिश है कि वो अपना सीवीड सूट जल्दी पहन लें। यात्रियों, कृपया अपनी कुर्सी के पेटी को बांध के रखें। ऑक्सीजन की कमी होने पर एक गाय अपने आप आपकी ऊपर लगी हुई पैनल से नीचे आ जाएगी। आप अपनी कुर्सी पर ही बैठे रहें और ऑक्सीजन का प्रवाह शुरू करने के लिए उसका सींग को पकड़ के आपकी ओर खींचे। एस्टेरॉयड बेल्ट के ऊपर से चलते हुए जहाज को कुछ झटके लग सकते हैं, इसलिए अपना कुर्सी की पेटी बंधे रखें। ध्यान देने के लिए धन्यवाद। Union Minister of Agriculture Radha Mohan Singh had said in September 2015 that soil fertility can be boosted and seeds can be empowered by adopting yogic farming. The idea behind yogic farming is to empower the seeds with the help of positive thinking. We should enhance the potency of the seeds by rays of Paramatma Shakti. When asked if yogic farming is a scientific method, Singh said, "We are supporting organic farming and along with it, the idea of Raj Yoga." No wonder I saw a mango tree standing upside down in my garden yesterday. Maybe it was practicing Shirshasana. In October 2016, Hindu priests from India performed a yagya, a ritual of sacrificial offering, in Tokyo in order to purify the environment. This involved burning wooden logs by a fire fed by ghee and led to the production of carbon dioxide and smoke. A similar Mahayagya was held in Meerut in Uttar Pradesh in March 2018, in which a group of nearly 350 Hindu priests burned 50 metric tons of mango wood to curb pollution. And I was blaming the poor farmers and their stubble burning for pollution all these years. In June 2016, researchers at the Junagadh Agricultural University claimed that their analysis of urine samples from 400 cows in Gujarat's Gir region, they found 3 to 10 milligrams of gold in every 1 liter of urine. The urine contains 5,100 compounds, out of which 388 have medicinal properties. Morning cow samples have better gold content than evening. Calves have maximum content of gold. Minister of State for Ayush, Sripad Naik in 2016 said that the practice of yoga can cure major diseases including cancer. He added that the government could come out with scientific evidence of it in a year. It is a proven fact. We have visited the Bangalore-based Swami Vivekananda Yoga Anusandhana Samsthana Institute, where many people told us that they have been cured of cancer by regular practice of yoga. The institute had found a technique of yoga for the prevention and cure of cancer, Naik had said. It has been 6 years since, and not one scientifically backed evidence has come out from the ministry. We are waiting, Minister. Now, there were no more unscientific statements in 2016. Maybe the leaders were busy defending the demonetization. However, there were reports that came out with regards to intelligent electronic chips being hidden inside the new 2000 rupee note that would enable it to be detected miles underground. Anyways, those were just WhatsApp rumors which are more reliable than the statements of our ministers, so it won't get a mention here. Sorry WhatsApp. Circa 2017, Mahesh Chandra Sharma, a judge at the Rajasthan High Court, said that peacocks do not mate. A peacock is a lifelong celibate, he said. He claimed that a peahen gets pregnant and reproduces after swallowing the tears of a peacock. The judge made these remarks shortly after delivering a judgment in which he recommended that the cow be declared India's national animal. Don't worry, Your Honor, I'm sure UNESCO has already declared the Indian cow as the best national animal in the world. Satyapal Singh, the then Minister of State for Human Resource Development, in September 2017 said that the students in premier engineering institutes like IITs must be taught about ancient Indian discoveries and inventions such as Pushpak Viman, which is mentioned in the Ramayana. He said that a certain Shivakar Babuji Talpade was the first to invent the airplane 8 years before the Wright brothers. Maybe the reason why we didn't get to know about it was that the plane might have gone on an interplanetary trip on its first flight and hasn't returned back as yet. When it returns one day, you shall all be shell-shocked, skeptics. Meanwhile, the Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, had published a study and concluded that most of the theories put forward by Vaimanika Shastra, on the basis of which Talpade supposedly built the aircraft, were unfeasible. In April 2018, Tripura's Chief Minister Biplab used an example from the Mahabharata to claim that the internet was invented by ancient Indians thousands of years ago. He said the fact that one of the characters in Mahabharata, Sanjaya, had been able to give a blow-by-blow account of the Kurukshetra battle that was taking place miles away to the king Dhritarashtra proved that India had the internet and satellite technologies. Well, internet is okay. We could have had Wi-Fi at that time. If some princes could share one wife between 5 of them, couldn't they share one Wi-Fi? Harshvardhan, who was none other than the Minister of Science and Technology, claimed that scientist Stephen Hawking said that the Hindu Vedas had a theory which trumped Einstein's theory of relativity. Hawking had passed away just a week before this. Had he lived just another week, he would have killed himself. In Jan 2018, Satyapal Singh was in the limelight once again after he claimed that Charles Darwin's theory of evolution was scientifically wrong. I have a list of around 10 to 15 great scientists of the world who have said there is no evidence to prove that the theory of evolution is correct, he was quoted. He also stated that school curriculums needed to change to reflect this. To discredit Darwin's theory of evolution, Singh had the worst logic possible. Nobody saw an ape turning into a human. Nobody, including our ancestors in written or oral, have said that they saw an ape turning into a man, he said. No books that we have read or the tales told to us by our grandparents had such a mention, the minister had added. Singh's statement was splashed across the world and was much ridiculed. He, however, stuck to his statement. Now we know, apes didn't change to man, and so do some humans. They just don't evolve mentally. After Darwin, Satyapal Singh went after Sir Isaac Newton. He stated that there are mantras which codified laws of motion much before it was discovered by Newton. Anybody who continues to stay in a state of uniform rest in school would continue to stay in that state of uniform rest for the rest of their lives, even if compelled by an external force. That is my mantra right there. Satyapal Singh wasn't the only one to put down Newton. Rajasthan Education Minister Vasudev Devnani said it was an Indian who came up with the gravitational law first. According to the minister, Brahmagupta II, a 7th century astronomer, gave the law of gravitation. What he also claimed was that Bharadwaj first discovered the law of gravity, and then later modern scientists came and provided the mechanism for it. First you develop the law of gravity and then everything gets suspended in midair as the mechanism has not been developed yet. Then Newton comes along and designs the mechanism, and husha, busha, we all fall down. Now this was the same guy who had come up with an ingenious theory to explain the scientific significance of the cow. According to Devnani, cow is the only animal that inhales and exhales oxygen. He had also reportedly said that ailments like cold and cough could be healed by going near a cow. Now we approach 2019. In January 2019, while presenting a research paper at the 106th Indian Science Congress, Ashu Khosla, a geologist and associate professor at the Punjab University, said that it was the Hindu god Brahma who had first discovered dinosaurs. He said a dinosaur named Rajasaurus had originated in India. He added that the documentation of such findings may be located in ancient Indian scriptures. Now Spielberg had already made Jurassic Park a long time ago, else he could have made a blockbuster dinosaur movie which could have had people debating as to why did Kattappa kill Rajasaurus Rex. While speaking to a prominent television network in April 2019, Pragya Singh Thakur, a BJP MP, asserted that a mixture of gomutra or cow urine and other cow products had cured her breast cancer. A mix of milk, cow dung and urine formed the alleged healing concoction. She also said that rubbing a cow in a certain way can help reduce an individual's blood pressure. Now the ancient stem cell research studies that Modi had started way back in 2014 was concluded by G. Nageshwar Rao, the Vice Chancellor of Andhra University, who spoke at the 106th Indian Science Congress. The technology that we used to have 100 Kauravas from one mother was because of stem cell and test tube technology. Now he didn't stop there. Rao added at the same Indian Science Congress that Vishnu used guided missiles in the form of his weapon called the Vishnu Chakra, which was advanced enough to choose targets and terminate them before it boomeranged back to him. The Vice Chancellor added that Ravan possessed 24 kinds of aircraft and operated several airports. And you're tarnishing Adani for operating just 7? Silly fools you. Assam Health Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma was of the opinion that people suffer from life-threatening diseases such as cancer was because of sins committed in the past lives, which he called divine justice. God makes us suffer when we sin. Sometimes we come across young men getting infected with cancer or young men meeting with accidents. If you observe the background, you will come to know that it is divine justice, nothing else. We have to suffer that divine justice, Sarma was quoted as saying. No comments here, as cancer is not something funny. Period. Sarma later apologized for his comment, but his clarification too was laced with reiteration of his belief in karma and reincarnation. Then Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani felt Narad Muni from Indian mythology and Google are similar, as a sage was a man of information. Google is a source of information just like Narada because he knew everything happening in the world, he said. Hey Narad, what would today's weather look like? According to Indra Times, there would be thunder and lightning in the afternoon. Now Urvashi tells me that she saw Menaka had closed the tap of the shower pipe, so it is unlikely to rain today. Shh! Don't tell anyone that, okay? I don't want to create any trouble between them. And then came the pandemic. First, the Prime Minister had asked us to cheer for the public health workers too early into the pandemic. He asked them to clap and bang thalis. Of course, we Indians like to do more, right? This was taken up ceremoniously by some foolish people who resorted to bizarre techniques thinking this would actually get rid of the virus. Then came Union Minister Ramdas Atawale, whose Go Corona Go chant became a national sensation.
Go Corona, go Corona, go Corona, go Corona, go Corona, Corona go, Corona go,
and eventually led to this lady being the poster girl of coronavirus in India. People thronged the streets in rallies, beating vessels and clapping hard as if to trap the virus among the crowd and crush it. Then came the showstopper, the 9-minute light a lamp or candles or mobile phone torches at 9 p.m. just 10 days into the lockdown. Of course, would that stop the Indian public from coming out in throngs to celebrate as if Diwali had come early that year? Then came Ramdev Baba and his dislike for modern medicine. Ramdev had chosen to describe the modern medical treatment being used to treat COVID-19 as worthless, a farce and a failure. Of course, he was made to retract his statement by the Union Minister of Health after some heavy backlash. And then people took solace in drinking cow urine and taking baths in gomutra and cow dung, which was supposed to ward off the virus. On 7th March 2021, Health Minister Harshvardhan claimed that we are in the end game of the pandemic. What happened starting a week later was absolute carnage as the Delta wave swept across the country and people were gasping for breath and dying due to lack of oxygen cylinders. He should have known that every country in the world where the coronavirus had infected in large numbers had already experienced a second wave, and that India definitely did not have enough vaccines to stave off a new spike. It was this complacency which made the government go ahead with events like the Kumbh Mela at Haridwar and state elections in April. When significant concerns and criticism were raised about the government's decision not to cancel the Kumbh Mela, Uttarakhand Chief Minister Tirath Singh Rawat said, "Kumbh is at the bank of the river Ganga. Ma Ganga's blessings are there in the flow, so there should be no corona." Well, whatever blessing was there in the flow, I don't know. But one top seer who attended the Kumbh died of COVID-19, and at least 47 people who went back after attending the Mela tested positive for the virus. After it became very clear that Ma Ganga cannot, in fact, wash away the virus, Modi, who was featured in ads urging people to attend the Kumbh just 1 month ago, now said that attendance should be symbolic. But at the same time, while campaigning for the West Bengal elections, Modi said that he had never seen such huge crowds at a rally. He did not seem to care that during a pandemic of this kind, a crowd is basically the worst possible thing. He also said that wherever I look, I see people, only people. He would have also seen that most of the people there were not wearing masks, but he chose to ignore that small fact. A BJP MLA from Gujarat, Govind Patel, said that people who are engaged in hard labor do not get COVID-19, and that is why BJP workers are safe. At the beginning of the pandemic, the whole world was worried about India's situation. But today, India's fight against corona is inspiring the entire world, Modi had said in mid-February 2021. 2 months later, India was recording the highest daily case load in the world. Another case of doing the victory dance too early. In the same month, Union Health Minister Harshvardhan and Union Minister Nitin Gadkari shared a stage with Baba Ramdev while he released a research paper on his product Coronil, an Ayurvedic drug developed by Patanjali. Ramdev claimed at the release that it is in fact the first evidence-based medicine for COVID-19 and that it had been approved by the WHO. WHO quickly tweeted to debunk this lie. In May 2021, Gopal Sharma, a BJP leader from Meerut, and his followers took to the streets, blowing the conch and carrying holy smoke on a rickshaw cart. Sharma claimed that the holy smoke will stop the virus spread in the air as it will kill them in the atmosphere. He also claimed that the shank and the holy smoke will add to the oxygen concentration in the air and in turn will help people recover fast from the disease. Madhya Pradesh Pro Tem Speaker Ramesh Sharma had claimed that building the Ram temple in Ayodhya would bring an end to the coronavirus. Union Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal had claimed that consuming Babiji Papad would help in producing antibodies to fight the coronavirus. Pragya Thakur once again sparked a controversy after she suggested that drinking cow urine will protect from virus infection. Cow urine against coronavirus infection was also suggested by Suman Haripriya, a BJP MLA of Assam, and Surendra Singh, an MLA from UP. Madhya Pradesh Culture Minister Usha Thakur suggested conducting a Yagna Chikitsa to prevent the third wave of COVID-19. She advised people to perform yoga for 4 days straight, which will purify the environment, and that the third wave of COVID-19 will not even touch India. And finally, Uttarakhand Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat had commented that coronavirus is a living organism and has a right to live like the rest of us. But humans think of themselves as superior and are trying to eliminate it. So it's constantly mutating itself, he had said. Now, did I miss anything? I don't know. I'm sure I have. Please do let me know in the comments if I missed out on any more bizarre statements from our leaders. Now that you have seen and heard all these unscientific claims, let me introduce you to the most outlandish and the most pseudoscientific work of this government. The development of a ministry called Ayush to put all pseudoscientific systems like Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha and Homeopathy under one umbrella and spend crores of public money to promote it. Since its inception, nobody has seen one properly done peer-reviewed research paper nor any of the so-called medicines from these branches proving its effectiveness in a scientifically conducted clinical trial. More taxpayers' money going down the drain. So I give this the IG Nobel Prize of Pseudoscience. So going by the track record of our leaders, I don't think we need to give too much importance to what our PM said recently. First, he needs to clean his own house before he tries to cleanse the public areas. Before I end this video, I need to thank Nishank of Science Brigade for his Facebook post which gave me the idea to make this episode. I know it has been a long video, but I wanted to cover as much statements as I could find. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have subscribed to this channel and yet have not clicked on that bell icon, please do so now so that you would get notified when I release new videos. I shall be back with more videos on promoting scientific temper and debunking pseudoscience. Until then, it's bye-bye from Pale Blue Thoughts.